All right, everyone, welcome back to the Baklava broadcast. This has been I guess, a week-long hiatus on our part.
That's right.
No podcast was recorded last week, but we wanted to join you on this Saturday afternoon. Just a two-man pod today, me and myself and Rahul. How you doing?
What's up, man? How's it going?
Good, good.
Live from my mom's basement.
Yeah, yeah. Recorded in the studio here. So yeah, I guess the NBA playoffs are kind of winding down almost to the conference finals, with the exception, obviously, with the Clippers Rockets series finishing up here tomorrow afternoon, Game 7 for that one. We'll get into that series a little more later on, but I guess we wanted to start things out with the conclusion of the Cavs Bulls series that went on. Pretty entertaining series back and forth. Cavs were able to finally close the series out with a nice 4-2
Shellacking.
shellacking. Yes, the last game was a shellacking, if you want to call it that. So I guess, Rahul, to start us off, just your thoughts from that series and what you saw, and I guess we could turn this into kind of a preview almost with our next series, the conference finals, which will start Wednesday night against the Atlanta Hawks, who took care of the Zards last night. So if you want to just jump in and just a few thoughts on.
Yeah, well, I guess the thing that everybody's thinking about is Matthew Dellavedova in that
Yeah,
last game. That was a pretty sick showing, and
man, props.
I just read that Kyrie Irving is still kind of questionable for Game 1
Hmm.
of the conference finals. So the first thing that comes to my mind is that was a great game by Dellavedova. I
Oh
wonder if he
yeah,
can keep it up. And I don't think he's going to be playing at that same pace for the rest of the playoffs, but
right.
hopefully he can be pretty serviceable like
Hmm.
he's been so far. So that's the first thought. I also remember you telling me that you'd apologize on the podcast for all your Dellavedova insults. So I think
Yes,
this is a good time.
yes, Matthew, I am terribly sorry. Also, I'll speak on Kurt's behalf as well. We've been pretty harsh throughout the year, I guess, on Dellavedova and his play, but props to him for this. I guess especially that Game 6, and then I guess this entire series he's played pretty solid.
Yeah,
So and that has become more important, obviously, with Kyrie kind of been hobbled. So
yeah.
that's been good that he's been able to step up and. When his shots are going down, like in Game 6, it's good that he's taking that initiative and hitting those open shots. So it's
It's
been a
also
pleasure.
nice to
Yeah.
see that like it started to seem like hints of 2009 in some of the games where LeBron would just
Yeah.
have the ball and everybody else was standing around.
Hmm.
But I think this is like the 10th time in LeBron's playoff career where he scored 15 points or less, and the first time
Yeah.
he's won doing that.
Hmm.
So it looks like the supporting cast, even with our injuries, is better than what it was before.
Yeah.
And that last game was won by Dellavedova, Shumpert, Smith, and Tristan Thompson.
Yeah.
LeBron had, for LeBron, an average or a subpar game, I'd
Hmm.
say. So it's nice to see that we can win, um, even when LeBron isn't at his best. And as far as the Bulls go, what do you think, man? It's a tough situation now.
Yeah, it is. It is tough in Chicago. You look at this season, and they were able to win, like, 50 games despite being injured for the most part. And, Derrick Rose obviously on and off with his injuries and how good he's been. And then Noah, who seemed like he was playing almost hurt the whole year.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I guess we can talk about kind of their future, what we see for the Bulls. It seems like they're forcing out Thibodeau probably this
yeah.
this summer. So, uh, what do you have on that? And what do you think they should do, like, going forward, I guess?
Well, yeah, like you said, Tibbs is probably he's out. No matter how good or bad he did this year, he was gone.
Yeah.
Um, I think yeah, there's a lot of question marks because it seemed like from the way it was being described, it was kind of like a divided locker room, and that's
Hmm.
never good. You hear those stories, and those teams never end up doing well. Um, but I think the whole thing with Chicago is a little bit overblown because like the biggest thing that I noticed with Chicago is that Derrick Rose looked really, really good.
Yeah.
And that's probably the best thing that they could have hoped for. So these other things hopefully can work themselves out. Um, Gasol just didn't look committed to like the team. If you compare like
Nah.
Kyrie to Gasol, Kyrie like toughed it out in that series. And
Yeah.
Gasol kind of just decided he wasn't going to play for 2 of the games.
Right.
So they're going to have to figure out what their core is moving forward. That's the question they got to answer.
Yeah.
Where Mirotic fits in, Gibson, those guys, because he's getting up there. He's 30.
Yeah,
He's
he's
going to turn
30.
30. So
Yeah.
Gasol is obviously getting up there. Noah
Right.
looks kind of like a shell of himself. And then the whole Jimmy Butler thing is the biggest question I think they have. They got to re-sign him, and I think if it's for the max, they got to do that. He's their best player right now. So, but I think the part they can take away from it that's good is that Derrick Rose looked really good. So you can't take that for granted anymore, obviously.
Yeah, I guess the Bulls are in a tough situation here. I think with Thibodeau, they'll probably, if they can, probably like try to trade him almost with like kind of like what Jason Kidd did. I think potentially maybe to like New Orleans or Orlando. I think are possible teams, especially New Orleans. I think with he has a star in Anthony Davis,
and he's got with Davis and Ashik, 2 big defensive players.
Right. Yeah, which fits his kind of philosophy and everything. So I guess they'll try to trade him first, and then either that or like buy him out or fire him. So as a replacement for Thibodeau for the Bulls, I think you got to look at someone like offensive minded in a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't even thought of any names for that.
Yeah, I think one name that has popped up is Elvin Gentry, who used to coach the Suns. He's a Golden State assistant now, who, in Golden State's obviously offensive minded. That could work, I guess. I mean, he's been out of the head coaching.
I heard Mike Brown's free.
Yeah, he's always available. So yeah, I guess in terms of the players and their contracts, you have Dunleavy and Brooks are the only unrestricted free agents for their team, and you obviously have Butler, who's a restricted free agent, who, like you said, I think they should lock up for that max deal.
Yeah.
I think they're the only team with it being restricted that they can offer him like 5 years.
Yeah.
So I think with the max contract, I think it would be like 5 years, $80 million or so, somewhere around that range.
And
where
Jimmy Butler is still really young, right?
Right. Yeah, he's got to be only a few years in the league. So other teams can only offer him like 4 years. So that's interesting to look at what the Bulls got ahead of them. Obviously a new coach probably next year, and then just to see what they want to do with Butler. And I'm not sure how much more they can get like better per se. Like they got a lot of these other players like locked down, and then like I don't know if you can really sign a free agent with signing Butler and everything too. So
it's weird because like Butler's a good offensive player, Rose is a good offensive player, Gasol's a good offensive player. Yet like their offense seems to stagnate so much throughout the game. I don't know. Yeah,
it seems like they should be able to get more out of those players and the talent that they have. I mean, they do win a lot of games during the regular season, but as you saw with this series with the Cavs, their offense just kind of sputtered at the end, and they couldn't keep up with the Cavs at all.
Well, the Bulls are out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I think that's enough about the Bulls personally.
Yeah.
Let's look ahead then. We got the Hawks coming up.
Yes.
All right. So initial thoughts on the Hawks. It could have been Washington, which I think would have been preferable.
Yeah.
But it's the Hawks. Nothing you can do now. What are some of your just initial thoughts on that series?
Yeah, you look at that was a tough series the Hawks went through, right? And in their first matchup with Brooklyn too, they got taken to 6 there. So they obviously haven't been themselves in terms of like what we saw in the regular season and their form that they were in. So they're another team like Chicago whose offense has kind of struggled a little bit. And actually, like if you look at Kyle Korver and how he's played in this last series with the Wizards, his defense was actually better than his offense. I think he was like 31% from the field and 29% from 3. So I think looking at their team, I think their formula for success is a lot of balance and key contributions from their bench and everything.
Right.
Which I don't think they've gotten enough from their bench. Actually, they like rank, I think, out of like the 16 teams in the playoffs, they rank like 13th in like scoring so far in this playoffs, and like players like Dennis Schroeder, who It seems like in these games, like he's had the ball like lots in the fourth quarter, like a lot of
Yeah,
ISO ball with him.
yeah.
And like I was listening to a he said it kind of reminds him of Dion Waiters and someone who thinks they're the star and who should get all the shots and
Gosh.
everything. So players like him and like I think they miss Cephalosha on the defensive
Oh,
end
for
a little
sure.
bit. So like they have players like Bazemore and Paravantic that I think have to step up a little more. Al Horford has played pretty well
Yeah.
in this last series. So yeah, I mean, if you look at Cleveland versus Atlanta, I guess during the regular season, Atlanta won this
3-1.
3-1,
Yeah.
which two of those victories were before, like mid-January,
Right.
like where our team was kind of in shambles, where we didn't have the players we had.
Right.
Um, and then also another key stat, I guess, the Hawks are like surrendering in the postseason like the most amount of points per possession in isolations,
Right.
which the Cavs are first in those
Right.
points.
I
You can
bet.
obviously see from LeBron and the isolation that we go through in the fourth quarter. So it'll be interesting, I guess, to see who the Hawks play against like LeBron and what the
It's
matchups
gotta
are.
it's gotta be DeMarre Carroll. I
Yeah,
don't see who
I
else they
think.
have. That's where losing Cephalosha hurts because you
Right.
had two guys that could kind of cover him.
Yeah,
Other
yeah,
than
and then I
DeMarre
think
Carroll, I don't see anybody else.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if they'll put like a bigger guy or I don't know if
I don't
their
know.
bigs
Yeah,
can move with
on the
him and
perimeter.
yeah, and then I think Shump will get most of the time on Korver, I
Yeah.
think, and then
Well, that's a good question. So, they have Corver starting, right? They
yeah,
got Teague and they got Carroll,
mhm,
right? And let's say Kyrie's healthy, you got Kyrie, you got Shumpert, and you got LeBron. Um,
mhm,
how do you line that up? Because if you put Shumpert
on Korver,
on Corver, you're leaving kind of a hobbled Kyrie on either Carroll
mhm,
or Teague, which I don't like at all. Like
yeah,
initially, my thought was they were going to put Kyrie on Corver,
mm,
kind of like they put Kyrie on Mike Dunleavy,
Dunleavy, yeah,
kind of the same type of player there.
mhm,
But with Kyrie like hobbling around, Corver, his game is to like run around off
right,
screens, and
yeah,
I don't think Kyrie can chase that around. So
yeah,
that's why this series makes me, I think, a little more nervous
mhm,
than before. Like I've seen a lot of like, oh, Cavs in six, but I think you got to consider the fact that Kyrie's hobbling around and he's going to be a huge defensive liability,
yeah,
and that also, if you look at Atlanta's bigs, they got Horford and they got Millsap, right? We got
mhm,
good defensive bigs in Tristan Thompson and Mozgov, but those guys on Atlanta can play on the perimeter, and I don't like
yeah,
Thompson or especially Mozgov chasing one of those guys around on the perimeter because both those guys can jack up threes.
yeah,
That's why I would have really preferred Washington because like
mhm,
Gortat and Nene,
Nene,
they're
yeah,
they're just like bruisers, which we can handle a little better
right.
versus Atlanta's kind of skilled big men.
Yeah, I think Wizards would be a little better matchup for us. I mean, yeah, John
Yeah,
Wall is obviously pretty good, but
yeah,
yeah, I think the Cavs do have to defend the three ball pretty well this series, especially. I
yeah.
mean, Dunleavy did have his moments in the Bulls series when I think in the two losses we had, I think he kind of hurt us. And then yeah, obviously Korver is a tougher matchup. I think like a better shooter, obviously. So,
So let me ask you a question. If
mhm,
Kyrie plays game one, he can play throughout the series, kind of hurt or whatever.
yeah.
What do you think the series score is going to end up being?
Mm, I say like Cavs in six. I
Cavs in
want to
six.
say yeah.
And let's say this Kyrie thing is a little more serious than we think, and maybe he has to sit out a game or two. You still take Cavs in the series, or are you going to take Atlanta at that point?
Mm, I think still the Cavs. I think LeBron can
You're
muster.
you're a big Delhi fan. That's what's going
Yeah,
on.
yeah. I trust in Delhi now.
Yeah,
Yeah. What do you think about that?
yeah. I think either way, it's going to be Cavs in seven.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Cavs in seven. I can see LeBron having a big game seven in Atlanta.
Mhm.
And I can see both the Cavs and Atlanta just holding their home court until
Mhm.
then. Um, but it's going to be a fight. Like, I don't think it's going to be like a physical series like the two that we just had were,
Yeah.
but it's going to be a close one,
Mhm.
and it's going to be exhausting.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to go down to seven, and we'll see
Mhm.
what happens. But I'll take the Cavs. Why not?
Yeah.
Taken them two times. Been lucky enough to get them right so far.
Yeah. And our defense has played pretty well actually in this postseason. I think
Yeah,
too. It's improved and especially Mozgov. I think in the limited time that he has played, I think we normally limit his minutes to like 20-25
Yeah.
minutes, which I think we should play him a little more.
Yeah.
He's limiting like at the rim. I think limiting guys to like 35%.
Yeah.
So he's been obviously a key cog in what we've done defensively and how the Bulls struggled last series. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it'll be a tough series. I mean, a lot of people say obviously this is supposed to be like an easier series than what we went through there with the Bulls, but I
Yeah.
don't necessarily think that will be true. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
yeah, that is the Eastern Conference final that is set, and now we also, I guess, if we move to the West,
Still got a semifinal going on in the West.
yeah.
So Houston and the Clippers.
hmm
Game 7 in Houston
Yeah.
after the Clippers blew a 19-point lead
Yeah.
in LA. So looks like Houston's got all the momentum.
Yep.
Looks like they're going to be at home.
Yeah.
Everything points to Houston winning Game 7.
hmm
Is there any way the Clippers pull this off?
It's tough, especially how you lost Game 6 like that. I think for the Clippers to win, I think Blake Griffin's got to show up, especially in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
He kind of in Game 6 he kind of disappeared
He
almost
was
like
0 for 5 in the fourth quarter.
yeah. So I think the key for the Clips, most like the other games that they've won, is big contributions from Blake and CP3.
Yeah.
And then like players like Redick have to be on, and
Austin Rivers,
Barnes, yeah,
those guys.
Jamal Crawford, yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. I mean, all their key contributors, I think, have to play well.
DeAndre Jordan might have to like step up to the line a whole bunch.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. Yeah, if the Rockets if they do like implement that strategy at all, of hacking him at all, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
With that Game 6 comeback from the Rockets, I guess it was interesting to see in the fourth quarter. James Harden
didn't play.
Yeah, didn't play. Was benched. They went with Terry, Ariza, Howard, Brewer, and Smith.
Yeah.
And that lineup, it was almost like a 2009 like Orlando like team. It kind of reminded me of.
Yeah.
And it wasn't Dwight or Harden. No field goals in the fourth. It was all Brewer and Smith. Which is really surprising. And if you look at McHale and the coach, and that's basically like a make or break move to bench Harden.
Yeah.
And if they lose that game, then
who knows?
Who knows? You could blame him, and he could be fired because they obviously have high expectations in Houston to win. So yeah, they outscored the Clips 40-15 in the fourth.
Yeah.
Would you say it was more of like a collapse from the Clippers, or more of like a comeback? You'd say from the Rockets.
Collapse.
Yeah,
because
I would agree. Yeah,
it's not even that Blake Griffin had like a bad fourth quarter.
Yeah,
he was having great first three quarters. Like he was like throwing up layups off the backboard without looking. Like everything was going great for them. They were up 19. That's a collapse.
Yeah.
If you lose that at home in an elimination game, that's a collapse. Like Steve Ballmer was like straight up like crying right there. It was like tough to watch.
Yeah.
And it's like almost not a new thing for the Clippers. Like Blake Griffin tends to disappear in the fourth quarter, and sure enough, in this game, he didn't make a field goal in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Like if your best player is not making a field goal in the fourth quarter, you open the door wide open. And yeah, that's Houston has a lot of like guys like Jason Terry, Corey Brewer, and Ariza that kind of just keep fighting. They kind of have that pedigree that they want to win. And they don't give it up. So a lot of credit to them. But this is a collapse. You don't lose a 19-point game at home elimination. So.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see Game 7 how each team comes out and who plays well, who lives up to the the big Game 7. So
if you were Golden State, who would you want to win this game? Who do you want to play next round?
I would say the Clippers, I think.
The Clippers?
Yeah, what about you?
Yeah, I think the Clippers are more of their rivals. And I think Golden State is so confident that they would like nothing more than to beat their rivals.
Hmm.
Um, but like I don't think they like Houston either.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
honestly probably don't think they care. Like we heard a lot of stories about how Daryl Morey, the GM of Houston, was
Hmm.
just kind of saying how James Harden should be the MVP, and like it
Yeah.
kind of pissed off Golden State. So I'm sure Golden State wouldn't mind kind of beating down James Harden and company either.
Hmm.
Um, as a viewer, what would you rather watch?
Uh, I think Golden State, Houston.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. I think that would be like really high pace, like a lot of threes, and yeah, I
Okay.
think it'd be crazy.
I think personally, I would go for Golden State Clippers just to
Clips.
see that
Yeah.
that Steph Curry Chris Paul
Oh
battle,
yeah, yeah.
State Farm buddies going at it.
Yeah. And who was it? Like DeAndre and Draymond Green don't really like each other
Yeah,
either. So yeah, I guess if you look at like the matchups with that, I guess if Golden State and the Clippers, you would have what like Draymond Green. Who would
probably
guard
Griffin.
Griffin?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then Bogut on
Bogut on Jordan. That's a pretty good
yeah,
matchup. Then you have like
Barnes and
Curry,
Barnes.
Curry and Paul. Yeah, Barnes and
Barnes and
Barnes.
Barnes. That's why it's got to
Barnes.
be that series.
Yeah.
Barnes and Barnes.
Yeah.
And then Redick on Klay Thompson. So those are some good matchups, man.
They are, yeah.
But
Yeah.
then you can also say like for the Houston series, you got a lot of good matchups there too. Like
Right.
kind of like probably two of the top shooting guards in the league,
Hmm.
going up against each other.
Yeah.
And then Dwight Howard and DeAndre Jordan, kind of those two athletic centers.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dwight Howard. Never mind. That's this series. It'd be Dwight Howard and Bogut.
Hmm.
So two defensive-minded type guys.
Yeah.
Um,
I think Josh Smith and Draymond.
Josh
What?
Smith. Yeah, I can't figure that guy out. But,
Yeah.
well, Golden State just eliminated Memphis,
Hmm.
so there's another team we can kind of talk about their future.
Yeah, Memphis.
How do you see that?
Yeah. So I have their salary kind of breakdown here. So Marc Gasol is obviously the big
Right.
free agent for them, and I think he'll stay in
You think?
Memphis. Yeah. I mean, there are some rumors of him like going to
The
New York or
Spurs.
the Spurs too. Yeah. But I think he'll stay, and then you obviously have Conley and I don't know why is Zach Randolph. Oh, Zach Randolph. I think yeah, he's under contract too.
Yeah.
I think the only other free agent is really like Costa Koufis on the team.
Costa.
I think they got everyone else pretty much locked up. So um, yeah, I think their future looks pretty. I mean, obviously they're pretty old. They're a pretty like older team, I would say. Like they don't have too many like younger guys. It seems like I
Yeah.
think they could improve in like the draft or something. I mean, obviously they won't have like a high draft pick or
I think they
anything,
just
but
need shooters.
yeah, they
Like
do need a shooting. I mean, it's interesting if you look at like the five teams that are in it right now,
yeah,
all top, all those teams are top in the league for most three-pointers made,
right,
and that's not like a coincidence at all.
right.
Like
They're worth
three
more.
three is more than one
Right.
too. Yeah, like what Daryl Morey said, like a lot of analytics there. But,
Right.
yeah, you got to make the threes to stay up in this league, and there's been a lot of like stuff around like a jump shooting team can't win a playoff series or like a finals or
Right.
something like that. But I mean, Golden State, yeah, they are a jump shooting team, but they're also a really good defensive team. And
Right.
so, yeah, I think the big thing for Memphis would be maybe to acquire, yeah, like another 3-point shooter to go along with like
Yeah.
Courtney Lee, and then
Conway.
I don't know how much longer Vince Carter's playing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Carter played with Steph Curry's dad
Dell.
in Toronto, I think.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. But yeah, like if you were watching that game yesterday, like in the fourth quarter, like Steph Curry would just make three after three after
Mhm.
three,
Yeah.
and like Memphis would try to kind of answer, but it was just like Mike Conley kind of dribbling around the screen and trying
Yeah.
to jack one up. So
Yeah, I just didn't have enough. I
just
mean,
don't have enough firepower.
yeah, I was still surprised about how Memphis performed in that series. I
Yeah.
think I thought the Warriors would go like either sweep or in 5.
Yeah.
But if you have a player like Tony Allen that can just like shut down and become like a really force turnovers, get those steals, and
Yeah.
then like kind of propel your team
Yeah.
to even beat Warriors and everything. I think defense only goes so far though in terms of how the game's evolved and I guess and the
Yeah.
3-point shooting. So yeah, I guess looking forward to them. Yeah, I think priority one would be to re-sign Gasol
Yeah.
and then maybe find like one or two other kind of wing players or like kind of solid reserves that can step in and
Yeah.
shoot some threes. I guess for them.
I think you're right. I think he stays. Like
Yeah.
the way I always looked at it is Gasol stays, Aldridge is gonna leave Portland. But I agree.
Yeah. I guess we could look at also like the Wizards who were just eliminated in terms of their future too. Obviously like Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Like next year, is it like a possibility? And
that's exactly what I was gonna say. Like I think even though they lost, they had a decently strong showing.
Yeah.
And if that's without Kevin Durant, Kevin Durant might be looking at that and saying, well, like if I was on that team, I could easily make it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah.
And then we're just a series or two away from winning the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like to speculate about that too much. It reminds me too much of that LeBron speculation. But I'd say out of like if you compare them to like Chicago or something like that, their future is much brighter.
Yeah.
And like they did this whole thing with and John Wall didn't have like a hand for like the last half of that
right.
series.
Yeah.
So like they look all right.
Yeah. Yeah. So they have pretty much Wall locked up for the next like 5 years or so, and then actually on their books from this year was $8.4 million to Andre Blatch, which they amnestied.
Sick.
So that comes off the books, and then the only other like free agents they have are like Seraphin, Russell Butler, and like Drew Gooden. Yeah, also Paul Pierce. Drew Gooden the third. Paul Pierce, I guess he
might retire.
Yeah, he does have a player option, but he might retire after this year.
Which isn't a bad thing because Otto Porter,
right?
He's gonna come through. Like we saw signs already.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, when they first drafted him that first year, it just seemed like a real flop. And given the Wizards' like draft history, they really haven't drafted too well, and yet they're putting out some pretty solid teams year in and year out. So I guess going forward, I think they'll have pretty much the same guys. I think Pierce would be a pretty big loss for them if he were to retire.
In the playoffs, I would agree.
Yeah,
like that.
Yeah, he was pretty clutch, and he almost sent the game into overtime last night. If it would have released a little earlier.
It's that old age showing, man.
Yeah, yeah. So like you said, Otto Porter, he could turn into a pretty solid like starter now for them, and then Bradley Beal actually played pretty well for them. So he's kind of coming into his own as well. So. Yeah, I think they have a pretty solid core. Maybe sign like one or two other kind of like reserves or something like that, and I think they'll be right up there in the East again. So, I think that pretty much covers, for the most part, those series.
We're running out of teams here.
Yeah, it's kind of dwindling down, almost to the Final Four here. I think that's about it. That's all I have.
I don't think I have anything else.
Pod, but
Any shout outs for you?
No. What about yourself? I can't remember.
Well, shout out to Kurt first of all, who's getting tooled on at work right now on a Saturday afternoon.
That blows.
Kurt, if you're listening, that sucks, dude. What else? Shout out to Bill Simmons. Bill Simmons actually is he's thinking about joining our staff. We've had a lot of discussions with him.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
The negotiations.
Like we said, he's not quite there yet. We see the potential. So Bill, if you're looking to intern somewhere.
Yeah, he's got to work his way up.
Nothing he's given. Everything is earned.
Yes.
Bill Simmons hates us.
Yeah.
Doesn't even know who we are.
Yeah, so I guess we have Cavs-Hawks Game 1 Wednesday.
Yeah.
And so, and then I think the West
starts Tuesday.
West starts Tuesday, so depending Golden State against the winner of Clippers Rockets tomorrow. So,
Where are we watching the Cavs and Hawks game?
ooh, that's a good question.
This is a huge question.
We are definitely opposed to Harry Buffalo.
Harry Buffalo, do not watch the game at Harry Buffalo's. You
That is
will
bad
lose.
luck.
It's
That is
terrible luck.
Bad luck. Yeah, we'll have to brainstorm.
I think it should just be Applebee's.
Applebee's. Applebee's is always an option.
Old,
so,
reliable.
yeah,
We'll figure it out.
we will figure it out. Yeah, and we hopefully will be back maybe next week to kind of recap. Hopefully, Cavs 2 wins.
Yeah,
2-0.
hopefully.
Hopefully. So yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Later.